Gadigal land as Sydney FC host the Newcastle Jets. Many thought the Jets would go into a tailspin after Emily Van Egmont's 4-match guest stint came to a conclusion last month, but it seems to have given the Jets the perfect foundation for liftoff, with just one loss in 4 since she returned to the US. And it leaves this clash with Sydney FC an intriguing one, who are desperate to kick into gear in a goal-scoring sense after scoring just 6 goals in their last 8. Someone that knows a thing or two about goal scoring is former Matilda striker Kath Canuli. Good evening to you, Kath. Where do you feel Sydney are going wrong in that final third?
I think it's been very difficult for them this season. They've had a lot of injury issues. They signed so many strikers at the beginning of the season. Everyone was thinking, where are they going to fit them? And with these injury issues at the moment, they've had to make do with a couple of youngsters coming in there and helping out. But it's great to have Courtney Vine back today.
Yeah, we're going to have a look at that injury list for Sydney. It is, you could basically form a team out of it. It is quite dramatic. This is the Sydney FC side for this afternoon, though. 4 changes from that defeat to the Mariners. In come Holman back from suspension. Courtney Vine makes her first start in 2024, while the newly re-signed Maddie Caspers is back, along with 16-year-old Indiana DeSantos. That means Keane, Kruger and Janaea DeSantos drop to the bench. Taylor Ray, she's been added to the injury list. She misses due to concussion. So too does Abby Lemon. Ryan Campbell's first team sheet as head coach shows 2 changes from that win over Brisbane here at Leichhardt last week. There's a return to the starting side for the first time since October for star signing Melina Ayres after shaking off a troublesome hip injury, while Josie Wilson, she's in for her 4th start of the season. That means Sophie Hoban is sacrificed with the move to 2 strikers, and Zoe Karapetes also drops to the bench. And Kath, what a big return this is for Sydney FC. Courtney Vine making her first start of 2024. She's got 3 goals in the last 6 despite her limited minutes.
This is a massive coup for Sydney FC to get Courtney Vine back. We've seen her get minutes against Western United. She was the difference in Sydney FC getting points. She got a bit more minutes against Central Coast Mariners, and tonight she comes in to start. She's been a key signing. Obviously keeping her in the Liberty A-League's been massive, but right at this point for Sydney FC, it is huge given all the injuries that they've got at the moment to have someone like Courtney Vine back in the starting lineup.
You can see she's giving a lot of the instructions there. She's not the captain, but she's certainly an inspirational leader of this side. She looks to have pointed up to the sun there. She's saying, it is hot here, it is mid-30s. But we're not going to be worried about that. We're going to come out and do the job in this all-important round 13 clash of the Liberty A-League. For Newcastle, though, Melina Ayres, what a return after dealing with that troublesome hip injury, Kath. First start. Can you believe there was so much fanfare about her coming to the Jets? She hasn't started since October.
It's been disappointing for Melina to come all the way to Newcastle. She was looking for a bit of a change in her footballing career, and she probably thought that she was going to have one of her best season yet. And unfortunately, with injury, she's been left out. But it's a massive recoup for the Newcastle Jets to get her back in the lineup. We know that Melina Ayres can score goals from everywhere, and the form that Serena Bolden is in at the moment, to have both of them firing up front is only a massive plus for the Newcastle Jets.
And they're coming up against the best defence in the league, so what an intriguing battle it looms. Caitlin Williams is in charge, the 2022 and 2023 Football Victoria Female Referee of the Year. She has earned her way to this level, and this is a really crucial clash to be in charge of. A local rivalry of sorts between Sydney FC and the Newcastle Jets. A rivalry Sydney have absolutely dominated over the 16 seasons of this competition. So Sydney FC look to extend their 10-match winning run against Newcastle and consolidate a spot in the top 6, Kath Canuli, and try and get some goal-scoring flow going. Mackenzie Hawkesby. linking with Courtney Vine, who's dropping in, and linking with Tumeth, who's making a run down this right edge. Good start here for Sydney FC. Maddie Caspers making a run into the box, but it's Tash Pryor who cuts it out for Newcastle. Tumeth trying to knock it into the box. And now Abini. And Barbieri gets her foot on the ball for the Jets. And now Cass Davis knocks it out to Lauren Allen. Some space ahead of Allen. Good footwork from the Newcastle fly, but it's been turned back over. And DeSantos links with Holman. Welcome inclusion for Sydney, Kath, after missing against the Mariners. Big loss for them. She's been instrumental in midfield, hasn't she, this season?
She has been. She's fantastic. She's got a massive work rate, and technically she's very good. And she's just come into this season and blown it away for Sydney FC.
Courtney Vine putting some real pressure on Claudia Chico. Newcastle backline are going to have to be so wary of her. From the outset here, this should be a free kick, and is to the Sky Blues. Really good situation here. This is similar kind of range to the distance out we saw Mackenzie Hawkesby on Wednesday night for that late equaliser against the Mariners. In the end, Ergamal scored the penalty. The rebound off Jada Wyman. Fair enough free kick, Kath?
I think it is a bit of a in the back there from Mindy Barbieri.
So it's Abini to take this time. Deflection is going to ensure there's a corner on the way here for Sydney FC. And this is where I tempt fate, Kath, and I say Newcastle have been decent defending set pieces as Abini, and it comes for the clearance. And now McLean looks to link up with Hawkesby. Cass Davis, the captain, coming across to do the clean-up work. Great to see a massive crowd here at Leichhardt Oval on what is a sweltering summer day. 6 o'clock kick-off, the mercury up above 30, so we will be having drinks breaks every 15 minutes. Abini down towards the corner flag. And now Vine, well shut down by Allen. Newcastle just struggling to get out of their own defensive third at the moment. The Sydney press is suffocating them at the moment. Good energy there from Barbieri.
Great energy there from Mindy. Shay Holman there in that case, just not looking over her shoulder and seeing that Mindy Barbieri just blindsided her in that case.
Vine looking for that angled pass. And Kath, will just get your analysis on how Newcastle are going to shape up here today, because clearly Bolden and Ayres coming in, and the sacrifice player is Hoban. But here is a chance for Courtney Vine, and she just looked to maybe stub her toe as she took that shot on goal. It was a scruffy attempt.
Yeah, you could just see the way she gets herself in a good position there, getting behind. I think she just miskicked that in that instance.
An early warning for Newcastle. Yeah, so I have a little bit of a look at Newcastle, how they shape up, because that change, Ayres coming in for Hoban. Hoban, a midfielder, playing in that holding midfield role. Ayres, of course, a striker. So both her and Bolden like to play as number 9s. Will one of them have to play out wide, or are they going to play with the 2 strikers up the middle? We haven't got a good chance to have a look yet, because Newcastle have barely been able to get their foot on the ball inside the opening 5 minutes of this match. That will help, though. Smart work from the Swiss international, Lorena Baumann.
Sydney FC have come out absolutely flying. You know that they would be super disappointed with losing points midweek to Central Coast Mariners. And I'm sure they're coming out today to really put their mark on this competition and try and pick up another 3 points here.
Well, you could really see, couldn't you, the frustration at the end of that game, the disappointment, basically the last kick of the game, that penalty. And there would have been a bit of frustration about the penalty that Tumeth conceded, because let's be fair, it was a harsh one. Looking back on it, came straight up, no reaction time into the arm. The ball wasn't going anywhere, so Sydney mightily frustrated with that decision as well.
Unfortunately, Ben, that's football. Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe not so good.
Yep, exactly. And that's the hard bit about being a fan, isn't it? Because you always feel like it's going against your side as well. We'll have a look at that chance for Courtney Vine in a moment. Here is a free kick. That will go Sydney FC's way. It's both sides just try and get themselves into this game at the moment. I mentioned, Kath, Sydney's dominance of this rivalry. You would have been part of these matches in the early days of this competition, whereas probably somewhat more even. Newcastle's first season in the W League, as it was then known, was quite good. They made the semi-finals, but from that point, they really struggled up until that 17-18 season where they made the finals. Those are the only 2 seasons they've made it, and outside of that, Sydney have made the finals every season, so you can understand why they lead the head-to-heads 20-5 with 4 draws.
Newcastle was never an easy team to always go to Newcastle and just pick up points. It's always been a difficult situation to especially travel to Newcastle and pick up the points, and especially in the early days they were very, very competitive, and then it sort of dropped off a little bit. And if you look at the Newcastle Jets team, you would notice that over the years so many players that have lost to other clubs as well, and local Newcastle girls that have grown up in Newcastle have started in the leagues in Newcastle but then also moved on, which has been a common thing for the Newcastle Jets.
And it's very interesting you mentioned that, Kath, because you think of the likes of Kirsty Fenton, who just heads that ball. There's a prime example. And that is the issue the Jets have at the moment. Comes down to finances. Kirsty Fenton, given that opportunity at Sydney FC, you've got to take it. And she's certainly done that. The Toronto Awabba Junior. And here she is, shoulder to shoulder with Barbieri, earning a throw. And you can understand that possession domination. Sydney FC basically didn't give up possession in those opening 5 minutes. So they really, as you said, Kath, came out all guns blazing. They want an early goal. They're fired up after defeat.
They sure did. They have come out all guns blazing, but Sydney FC is a quality team. They want to play possession-based football. They love to play through the midfield and get the ball out wide, and obviously use the speed of Courtney Vine. You got Princess Sabini and also Indiana Dos Santos out there as well today. So we can't go past the quality of Sydney FC and the type of football that they try to play week in, week out.
Opportunity here from a set piece. Remember, Barbieri's corner last week caused havoc for Brisbane. Tamika Yallop nodding in an own goal, which in the end was the match winner for Newcastle. A 2-1 win against the Raw. 3-match undefeated run for them. As the cross is whipped in towards Davis, cleared away by McLean. And now a chance for Courtney Vine to show her wheels here. And the early delivery. Massive chance here for Sydney FC. Hawkesby with a touch, and the clean-up work is superb from Libby Copus-Brown, getting back and ensuring it's not an early goal for Sydney FC.
Claudia Chico there. She keeps up with Courtney Vine, but what a quality ball in by Courtney Vine. The way she shaped that in behind the Newcastle defence for Mackenzie Hawkesby. They were just 50-50 there with the goalkeeper there, and just took not such a great touch.
And Libby Copus-Brown, a local product, a huge re-signing for Newcastle. She was a massive loss when she went to Western Sydney from the Jets. Just does so much of that work that goes unnoticed in midfield. And those kind of goal-saving, match-saving, you could say, moments.
I was fortunate to be part of the coaching staff when Libby was at the Western Sydney Wanderers, and she's such a hard worker. She absolutely works so hard for the team, and she did have an opportunity to go overseas. She was part of the Luz FC football club, and she had that opportunity to have a little bit of football in the UK. And Gary Van Egmond, I know that Libby and Emily Van Egmond are quite close mates as well, so I'm sure they would have convinced her to get back into the Liberty A-League and come back to the Newcastle Jets.
Yeah, she played in that Women's Championship in England, 15 appearances, but just the 2 starts. So opportunity, but maybe not as much as she would have liked, and returns back to Australia. But as you said, Kath, well, there is a fair wallop from Copus-Brown. She might be fortunate not to go into the book here. Casper's just having a conversation. The 16-year-old to Libby Copus-Brown just came across and absolutely clattered her. But yeah, she deserved to go overseas, have an opportunity, test herself, and she comes back to her hometown to play this year. Hawkesby, was she onside? The flag goes up. It denies Mackenzie Hawkesby goals in back-to-back matches. But Sydney FC are really asking some questions of Newcastle, and so far they've been able to answer them, but for how long?
I love the way the Sydney FC look for those forward runs. You can see here from Mackenzie Hawkesby making that forward run in behind. A great little ball there from Courtney Vine. It's something that they're looking for.
Well, that was interesting, that replay. You'd need the lines for sure, which we're not going to get. But Josie Wilson, I don't know whether her hand came up because she definitely thought that Hawkesby was offside, or she thought, gee, I'm a little deep here. We could be in trouble, because Wilson was a long way back here. Just watch Wilson, top of screen there. She was very, very close to the 18-yard box where Hawkesby was, Kath.
That's a super, super tight one. It's really hard from the angle that we're seeing it from, but definitely tight.
Vine looks to unleash again, but couldn't get it off the tarmac. The former Jet, who played in a famous match between these two sides back in the 2018 finals. You'll remember it if you watched that match. It was one of the most insane finals where Sydney led 2-0, and then Hannah Brewer got sent off before half-time, and Newcastle somehow, with 10 players, produced a stirring fight back. 2-2 it finished. Tara Andrews scored the equaliser after Aaron Gilliland then, but Aaron Wright now scored the first goal for Newcastle, and then it was Lisa Devanna in extra time that won it for Sydney, and they went through to the grand final. It was a classic in this competition's final series. Hawkesby looking for a beanie, but Claudia Chico up to the task again. And that was the start of Sydney's 10-match winning streak against Newcastle. There was a draw the match before that. So it's 11 in a row since Newcastle have last claimed a victory against Sydney, more than 6 years. And while we're on that, there's only 2 winning streaks longer than that in the competition. So 10 straight Sydney against Newcastle, Sydney against Adelaide 12 straight, Melbourne victory against Adelaide 11 straight. That was during the dark early years for Adelaide United, where they really struggled. So that shows you the kind of territory this domination is in for Sydney FC. As Toomuth finds Wyman. Copus Brown's header. A decent one finding Ayres. The speed from Allen. Early delivery. Bolden! Serena Bolden! She's done it again. Goals in 4 consecutive matches. 7 for the season. And there's one against the run of play right on the drinks break for Newcastle.
She has been superb for the Newcastle Jets. She's been on fire. She's been so great for the Newcastle Jets. What a great signing by Gary Van Egmond. And the way she's taken that header, the way she gets up, the way she twists her body to put that ball in the back of the net, absolute world class.
So, as we have mentioned, drinks breaks every 15 minutes in this match. And that's due to the temperature up above 30 degrees. Ante Juric, no doubt Kath would be saying to his side, you've dominated this game for 15 minutes. Just keep going. Newcastle have one chance, but that's the kind of situation that Sydney are in at the moment, isn't it, Kath? They're in this kind of form where they have dominated games, haven't put the side away, and they've been punished at the other end.
That's been the story of their season. That, like we said earlier, they have had a lot of issues this season in terms of injuries. That means a lot of reshuffle within this group and around the team, and they have to dig deep now. They've gone one behind here, and they always knew that Newcastle Jets is going to be dangerous once they do get into that front third area. But they need to regroup, especially in games like today, especially with drinks breaks. But look at this ball by Allen and the finish by Serena Bolden. Again, absolute world class.
Well, Serena Bolden saying, just put it here and I'll score. 7 goals now in 8 matches. Just unbelievable. 4 goals, I should say, goals in 4 consecutive matches, as I mentioned. And it's just an amazing record for the striker who was unsigned at the start of this season. Newcastle picked her up with that injury to Melina Ayres. And what a signing she's been. So this Bolden-Ayres combo is certainly concerning Sydney. They've got 2 to deal with, 2 quality strikers in this competition. And Kath, Ryan Campbell would be feeling pretty good about things, wouldn't he? 15 minutes in, Newcastle haven't beaten Sydney in 6 years, and we're 1-0 up. What's going on here?
Who's Gary Van Egmond? Now, I'm sure Gary Van Egmond still has, you know, his hold on this team. He's done fantastic in the way he's recruited and put this team together and got them on the pitch. I think bringing Emily back as well was massive for the team. It grew a lot of confidence within the group. I know she wasn't just playing a great role on the pitch, but she was also playing a massive role off the pitch in terms of mentoring a lot of the young players that are coming through, especially a lot of the new academy graduates as well.
And he's been coaching the really successful Adamstown Rosebud side in the NPL competition in northern New South Wales. Grew up in Scone, but moved to Newcastle when he was 7, and then had 4 ACL reconstructions, so that's why he stopped playing and moved to coaching. As we just see that free kick given away by Tori Tumeth. Just shows a real love for the game when you've got to deal with that many setbacks and then step into coaching. We've seen a number of stories like it for unheralded coaches across the A-Leagues this season. There's Cass Davis. She's seen it all. She's seen all of those 10 defeats in a row against Sydney FC. To Santos. Whipping it in front of Princess Abini. She's got some players making runs into the box, but Abini goes herself and now dinks it into the side netting. The live ladder making very good reading if you're a Newcastle fan, up to 4th Newcastle with this 1-0 advantage. And they'd be up above Sydney. 17 points so far this season from those 5 wins and 2 draws. But there's a long way to go yet, and Courtney Vine will have her say, no doubt. Couldn't get that on target.
Nino was lucky there in that situation. Just a bit of lack of concentration. I'm sure Courtney Vine will be definitely frustrated with this. She picks up this ball from Nino. She gets the interception, and she's probably got another touch to be able to take that ball towards goal to be able to get a better strike on goal.
I touched on that before. Courtney Vine, part of that 2018 semi-final for Newcastle. She played 2 seasons with the Jets, 4 goals in 21 matches. Kirsty Fenton, the other Sky Blue, who played for the Jets in the 21-22 season, 13 appearances before moving to Sydney. For Newcastle, just the one that has played for the opposition today. That's Tash Pryor. 6 matches as an injury replacement. Here she is finding Nino. Over the last couple of seasons, she played in that grand final for Sydney FC in 2021. And that statistic there, Kath, is just pointing to Sydney's dominance in terms of creating chances.
Sydney FC are definitely the team that are creating more chances at the moment, but Newcastle Jets are the ones that are converting them, and again, that's why they're 1-0 up. They took their chance with Serena Bolden.
What a return it's been for Tash Pryor. Great to see her back in this competition. She said she was inspired to come back as a full-time player. As I mentioned, she's been an injury replacement in recent seasons, but she was sitting in the grandstand watching the Matildas at the World Cup like many of us were, and she said, I want to be back out there. I want to be back playing football and try and get to this level. And she's certainly right in that kind of frame, Kath, isn't she? You look at someone like Claire Hunt, coming from the A-League Women's into that Matildas side. Australia need good quality defenders, and certainly opportunity knocking if she can get some consistent performances under her belt like she has this season for Newcastle.
Tash is such a strong defender. She's a quality footballer, especially when the ball's at her feet. Technically, she can ping balls left and right from anywhere, and I think it's fantastic to see her back in the Liberty A-League.
Vine and Hawkesby. And there is Tash Pryor. Played for Newcastle back in that 17-18, that final season for them. Bauman brought down by Toomuth. Is there anything more than just a free kick? Maybe a chat from Caitlin Williams. Oh, hang on a second. Copus Brown now frustrated with Caspers. Bit of a push on the 16-year-old. Here we go. Just watch that little battle, that midfield battle between Caspers, who wasn't engaging at all with Libby Copus Brown. And Caspers, 16 years of age, but Ante Juric, so impressed because she plays, he says she's 16, but she plays like she's been playing in this competition for 10, 15 years.
She's a great talent. She's been around for the last few years, been a train on and in and out of the Football Institute and the Northern Tigers as well, which is great to see. And Auntie's seen the opportunity to be able to sign her this season, and she's taken it with all hands.
Abini bearing down on goal, cuts it back across the face. Desperation from Newcastle to get it away. And it was first Wilson and now Cass Davis. To Santos. Vine. Too much space here for Courtney Vine, and she didn't punish Newcastle. She had an acre of space and an eternity to pick her spot. And Newcastle breathed a sigh of relief.
a massive sigh of relief there for Newcastle. You can't give somebody like Courtney Vine that much space in front of her. Dos Santos plays the ball in, looking for the little 1-2, and they were tracking the runner, but then Courtney Vine picks up that ball in space, and she could have taken another touch and driven forward there as well.
Tumeth taking issue with that free kick. So too Hawkesby, but Bauman, as she has done throughout the afternoon, just winning free kicks in key areas at key moments for Newcastle, just as they look to be finding it a little difficult.
Yeah, you can see here, Dos Santos just plays the ball, looks a little 1-2, and Courtney Vine gets herself in a great position there. Again, I think she could have taken an extra touch forward to be able to have a better strike on that ball, but Newcastle lucky to get away with that one.
Ante Juric also frustrated, having a chat to the fourth official, Copus Brown. And now here's Wilson, restored to the starting side for the fourth time this season in favour of Karapetes.
Wilson's first season in the Liberty A-League. Again, another Northern Tigers junior that plays in the New South Wales NPL, and had a great season. And it was fantastic to see Gary Van Egmond out watching the games and recruiting and getting her in for this first season. And again, she's taken this with both arms and taking the opportunity.
Vice captain of that side in the NPL competition, Tash Pryor, looking to find Bolden. And passing accuracy well in favour of Sydney. They've had a lot of opportunities. Newcastle's passes, you can understand why it's a little lower. A lot of it's been on the counter-attack, trying to force it out of Sydney FC pressure and the press.
It's not easy to be able to play out when Sydney FC is pressing you that high. You can see here, they're just sitting and waiting to pick their moments. But once they do, it's a collective press and everyone's all in.
Bolden just gliding into space, looking to link with Ayres, and that combination certainly growing from the training pitch and now in-game. Bolden and Ayres, and that pass looked to be overhit for Lauren Allen. What about Lauren Allen? What a career she's had. A late player to debut in this competition, 23 years of age when she did make her first start, and it came off the back of top form in the NPL competition, then a WPL competition in northern New South Wales, played college football, earned a spot with the Jets, and she's signed for another couple of seasons for the Jets. Here's a chance for Sydney FC, and it falls to the feet of Courtney Vine. Vine sending Chico one way and then the other, and the ball brushes the post and goes wide. Everyone here in Sky Blue was holding their breath, praying for the ball to sneak in, but it just would not.
You can see when Sydney FC pick up this ball in midfield, they're looking for those wide areas, and they will be able to isolate Courtney Vine here 1v1 with Chico. We know that Chico's got plenty of speed, and Vine's done well to cut back in on her left foot, but just couldn't get that proper connection with the ball.
And you could see those Sydney FC fans behind the goal, their reaction said it all. And here's Caspers. Wow. You can see why Ante Juric was desperate to get her back in the side after missing matches recently as they sorted out that contract, which has now been signed until 2026. Whether she'll be here or not, that's another question. As Bauman.
It's so good to see these clubs signing players on multi-year deals and locking them in and giving them the confidence to be able to play in this league. And I know she's only 16, but I think it's important that they make their mark in the Liberty A-League and play plenty of minutes before they look to move overseas as well.
And it's just great as well. She's got Holly Casper's older sister, Eddie Caspers. We'll just stick with this replay. Here's the chance.
Courtney Vine's done really well there. She's tried to cut back in. It's just unfortunate. She's just tried to really lean in to get that ball, and you can see the frustration on her face.
I just think the fact that Holly and Eddie have both gone through, and I know Holly's been in the journey a lot longer. Eddie's just starting his journey with MacArthur. Holly now leading assists in this competition. They've been through the journey, so the information they can pass on to her about how to deal with pressure and everything like that is going to be invaluable here as we have our second drinks break. So drinks breaks every 15 minutes with the temperature up over 30 degrees, and Serena Bolden's goal is the difference between these two sides at the moment. And what a beautiful delivery it was from Lauren Allen, who we touched on before. Wonderful story in this competition, and she put it on a plate.
She sure did. What a quality ball in from Allen. The way she's whipped that in behind, and for Serena Bolden to get her head on it and to be able to adjust her body, to be able to twist her body. Most strikers that know that is not easy to do, the way she's actually taken that header.
Absolutely pumped. And I'm sure she would have known, her teammates would have spoken about the record Newcastle has recently against Sydney. Really inspired Newcastle to do something special here today.
You just got to love Serena Bolden's energy. I know when she came into the league last season at the Western Sydney Wanderers, the girls were talking about how she just uplifts the team, and she's really done that with the Newcastle Jets. You see week in, week out since she's been here, when her team wins a free kick, whenever they score a goal, she's the first one celebrating. Her energy is just so contagious, and I think the Newcastle Jets are really thriving on that.
Mindy Barbieri, another one of those key signings for Newcastle, an experienced player in this competition with Adelaide last season. Previous to that, she was with Melbourne Victory for 7 seasons. She's won this competition. It's just players like that that Gary Van Egmond signed that have just built a squad for Newcastle to do something special this season.
We have to give credit to Gary Van Egmond and the way he went out and he recruited and he put this team together. It took a little while to sort of kick in, but they're starting to reap the rewards now.
Chance here for Barbieri, but it's straight to Jada Wyman, who read it off the boot of Barbieri. Nino up towards Barbieri, and they've just got the little knock there from Tumeth, who was coming from behind there. Maybe just got a knee in the calf or something. This was this strike a moment ago from Barbieri.
We know that Barbieri can hit balls from that range. That's something that she definitely has in her locker, and she's quality when she gets up in that front third, and she's very creative as well, and loves to pull the trigger, especially around that range.
Flick on attempted by Melina Reyes. As we mentioned in the pre-game, first start since October, so she's just working her way into this game. It's been somewhat of a quiet match for her thus far, but you can understand why, based on the possession Newcastle have had, or more correctly haven't, in this game.
Sometimes it takes a little while just to get your feet and get back into the rhythm of being a starting player. When you're coming off the bench, you play a little bit of a different role.
Bauman giving away the free kick there. And the flick on from Abini lands at the feet of Vine. And the crowd rises in hope that she can do something special. Not on that occasion. The shadows fall over Leichhardt Oval here, much to the relief of the players. If you're watching from elsewhere in the globe or another state, yeah, it is a warm one in Sydney today. Now, Bauman looked to be taken out in off the ball. Meantime, it's Ayres breaking forward, linking with Bolden. Copus Brown kept it moving to Wilson, who's crossing but not finding the required target. This was this incident off the ball.
Holman just grabbed Bowman and just pulled her down there. She's been absolutely copping it today.
Oh, I don't know whether Sydney players are frustrated based on the fact she's won a couple of free kicks. But there was certainly encouragement you may have heard a moment ago from Ryan Campbell. He's certainly happy with the Swiss internationals' work. 3 caps for her in 2019 and 2020. So certainly a player highly regarded. Didn't play at the World Cup though. But let's be fair, it doesn't matter how many caps you play for your national side. If you get that opportunity, it shows that you are a very, very special player. Wilson up towards Bolden, able to stop it from crossing the sideline. Couldn't do so under the pressure though of Holman. Speaking of a player with siblings also in the league, Jake and Corey. Jake at MacArthur, Corey at Sydney. Bolden, not quite sure what she was thinking there, whether she was trying to pick out a pigeonhole in the top corner or an attempted cross, but in the end comes to nothing for Newcastle. And that goal kick straight to Bolden, who's looking to lob Wyman and couldn't do so. Fortunately, Wyman was well back on a line by the time the strike was unleashed by Bolden. Newcastle urged to press, certainly a tough thing to do in these warm conditions. Ryan Campbell, certainly the coach that likes to give instructions regularly to his side. Pryor thumps the boot through it. That's a neat bit of skill, isn't it, from Dos Santos. Links with Caspers. Oh, players barreling everywhere. Decision for the referee here. Dos Santos looked to get flattened, but I think Wilson also tripped over. I don't know whether they just clashed ankles here.
I think Dos Santos is just running and Wilson just hasn't seen her and just crashed straight into her.
Free kick to Sydney, but you're happy with no card?
I think
it's not going to be a free kick, just a drop ball. Are you happy with that decision?
I think it was a little bit accidental in the way it happened. Dos Santos goes to drive forward, and I think Josie Wilson didn't even notice that she was there, and she just tumbled right over her.
Well, Hawkesby is telling the players to get forward. I think they're going to go for this, Sydney. Hawkesby's going to hit it towards goal, which is going to hit it towards Vine, who volleys it. That will not have tickled Chico, who goes down, and play has to be stopped now. The crowd aren't going to be happy, Kath, but as we mentioned yesterday during the call, if the referee thinks the player's been struck in the face, as by concussion protocol, she has to stop play. But from first inspection, it didn't look to hit her in the face. I think it may be more in the chest and could have winded her.
It did look like it hit her straight in the chest, and definitely that's going to wind you when somebody's striking the ball with that power at such close range. That is not fun. And you can see here what a great ball in by Mackenzie Hawkesby to find Courtney Vine off that, and Courtney's done so well there to be able to strike that ball, the technique to be able to do that. And to be honest, I think Newcastle's lucky to have Chico that got in the way.
Yeah, exactly. And the crowd would have seen that and gone, well, that should be play on. It hit her in the shoulder or under the armpit. But as we know, the referee has a duty of care. Player goes down. She thinks it's hit her in the head. And
so just give you a distance as that. You know what I mean? And then as soon as you see her turning, you start turning.
I hope you got all that. I was trying to just pause so you could hear what Ante Juric is just saying to Kirsty Fenton, and just discussing potentially how she can get forward without allowing Newcastle to get in behind. There's Cass Davis and Barbieri. Bauman giving chase, and Thompson knocking it upfield. It bounces in front of Vine, who was goal side for a minor moment. Here she goes again, Courtney Vine and Chico. Well, she's had a game so far. Courtney Vine is not getting much change out of Claudia Chico.
Claudia Chico is a fantastic young talent. We know that she's part of the Young Matildas group as well, and plays her MPO in Apia Leichhardt in the New South Wales Premier League, and she has engines and speed to burn, Claudia Chico, and she's doing such a great job on Courtney Vine this afternoon. And surely Courtney's going to be a little bit frustrated in this situation, but what a great job Chico's doing.
Vine trying to dink it over the top. She will get another bite at the cherry. Links with Hawkesby. This time it's Cass Davis coming across to cut it out. And no doubt Leah Blaney, if you're watching, Young Matildas coach, I'm sure she will be. If she's not watching right now, she'll be absolutely pumped to see that. Selecting that Young Matildas side for the Under-20 Asian Cup for March. That's going to be coming up in the coming months, that selection process. Plenty of quality players in this competition. Here's another test for Newcastle defensively right before halftime. It's Hawkesby, and it was Nino with the punch. It was an optical illusion for a minute. You thought it was going in, but it was Nino who knocked it away to safety for Newcastle, but still there's danger for the visitors.
Newcastle's got to keep their concentration right here. There's only a couple of minutes left until we go to the halftime break, and it's so important that they keep switched on and go into this break 1-0 up, because what a massive confidence booster this would be for the Newcastle Jets.
Casper's so dangerous. Now Tumeth. And it's Melina Ayres getting back to do the defensive work for Newcastle. Tumeth with the throw, linking with a beanie. Vine. And it's Chico. I don't even have to mention her name next time. It's always Claudia Chico right next to Courtney Vine. She knows how big an opportunity this is for her today, as we have a free kick here for Newcastle. And it's Shay Holman involved in the collision. Oh, geez. There's a bit of hip and shoulder. Cass Davis coming in there. I think she's been pinged for a handball.
I think she has.
Well, it's actually another drop ball. The referee hasn't given a free kick. It was just because it was another collision. Called play up, just made sure all the players were okay. And here comes Sydney again. Kirsty Fenton, just minutes after she was chatting to Ante Juric about how she can get forward into this game. Holman and Caspers. Fenton. Another corner for Sydney.
Ante Juric would definitely be wanting to get Kirsty Fenton up higher up the pitch. We know that she's got plenty of speed to burn, and she can be quite dangerous once she gets, especially in that front third. She likes to make forward runs and get balls in behind, and Tori Trubmuth has done a fantastic job on that right-hand side this afternoon.
Hawkesby, can she find something with this corner? It's driven in low to the near post. Cass Davis sweeps it clear. It won't stay in though for Lauren Allen, who was giving chase. So we will have a bit of stoppage time. We're not far away from that. Caspers and Hawkesby. Izzy Nino in goals for Newcastle. played every minute for them this season. She's really coming into her own now in the middle part of the season. Had some shaky moments earlier in the campaign, but gee, she's had some important saves to make today.
Great save there by Nino, but a great strike there by Mackenzie Hawkesby as well. The way that ball's come across her, she's gotten her head over the ball to be able to hit through that. Just wasn't good enough to beat Nino.
So with those drinks breaks, a bit of stoppage time. Bowman couldn't control it from crossing the line, but Newcastle just stepping up the pressure here before half-time. Ayres onto Bolden. Returns it to Melina Ayres. And we've seen her strike from that kind of range before. And as it cannoned from the shade into the light, Jada Wyman did look a little concerned for a moment.
Absolutely. We know that Melina Ayres has got that in her locker. We know that she can score absolute rockets from that distance, and she'll be wanting to get a bit of confidence to start to get a couple of strikes under her belt, because especially starting, it's always a little bit difficult to get yourself back into that rhythm of being playing from the start, and obviously the engines and the way your body reacts as well.
Courtney Vine versus Pryor. Courtney Vine off the post. Is it still there for Sydney? No. It's Chico with the clearance. She's been one of the players of this first half, Claudia Chico. And she put a boot through it to get it out of danger for Newcastle once again. And Courtney Vine cannot believe it. She's hit the post for the second time in this match.
She knows here that she's got Pryor for speed. She just takes that touch, the way she's hit that ball across goal, and the post is definitely not her friend today.
Oh, what a cracking showdown this is. A Newcastle side desperate here to hold on to the lead going into half-time. Remembering it's been more than 6 years since they last tasted victory against Sydney. And Sydney, they have got the battering ram out. But so far this season, they've struggled to convert chances, especially lately. Just 6 goals in their last 8 matches. They've got a number of strikers out injured. Connors, Wirtz. Attacker Abby Lemon also out. Taylor Ray with concussion as well. Lucy Johnson and Nat Tobin, the others injured for the Sky Blues at the moment. Obini with a touch around Tash Pryor, who links with Nino, who just looked to have a bit of an issue spotting that ball. Ryan Campbell there, bottom of screen. He'd just be desperate to get into the sheds and have a chat to his side.
He would be super desperate to hear that whistle blow for half-time. You can see here Chico just taking the time to get that ball, and for this throw-in, they've got to be super disciplined here, Newcastle Jets, to be able to run down the clock in these last couple of minutes.
Well, it's all shaping up for a superb final 45 minutes here in Sydney. The Sydney FC side trying to get themselves out of a rut, and to be fair, they have been dealt a tough hand this season with all the injuries. But Hunter Urich knows the quality he has at his disposal. There's players out there who can do the job for Sydney. That's their quest in the second half. And Newcastle, well, they haven't been in this position for some time. Inside the top 6, they would consolidate a spot in there if they continue with this scoreline. Pryor with a real rank attempted clearance. Will it be a late corner? Wilson giving chase. It's a corner here. A little sloppy from Newcastle, and the door creaks open for Sydney right on the stroke of half-time.
Definitely super sloppy there by Newcastle Jets. They've got to be better in that situation, especially now in these last few seconds of the game. And we know how good Sydney FC can be, and especially with Mackenzie Hawkesby and her quality of deliveries in this situation.
Sydney FC with one of the last kicks of the first half. It's deep. Tumeth up there. Nino with the grab. Hasn't scored in sky blue colours, Tori Tumeth, and that was a near thing. And it is half-time. So Serena Bolden's goal for Newcastle is going to send them into the sheds ahead by a goal to nil. They haven't had many opportunities, but when they've got down into the attacking third, they have looked dangerous, Newcastle. Sydney have hit the post twice. Courtney Vine denied on both occasions. Half-time at Leichhardt Oval. Sydney FC 0, Newcastle Jets 1. And let's have a look at the best bits of this first half, Kath, and the team cutting the highlights is going to have a very tough job because, gee whiz, it has been a cracking first half.
It sure has, and we know that Sydney FC has had majority of these highlights and the way they make those forward runs. You can see here with the Newcastle Jets again playing through Melina Ayres into Allen. Great cross, and what a fantastic finish by Serena Bolden.
And Melina Ayres, as we said, not as... Well, she hasn't got herself involved a whole lot in the first half because Newcastle haven't had a lot of the ball, but when she has, it's been all quality. And you can see they're involved there. Secondary assist for her, and this is Courtney Vine doing Courtney Vine things.
Absolutely, we know you don't want to get Courtney Vine isolated 1v1 with a defender. She's got speed to burn, but Claudia Chico's been fantastic. You can see here again another great opportunity for Courtney Vine to be able to put Sydney FC in a great position, but it's just unfortunate for her. She has hit the post twice already this half.
And the numbers tell an intriguing story here, Kath, because midway through that first half, Sydney absolutely dominating possession. How are Newcastle at 51%? That's incredible, isn't it?
It is huge. You know, games can be turned around really, really quickly, and we know once Newcastle Jets did score that goal, they did start to settle into the game. They did grow confidence from that. Sydney FC did drop off a little bit, but you can see here with the total amount of shots, Sydney FC with 9 and the Newcastle Jets with 5. And Newcastle Jets are doing fantastic at the moment to be able to go into the break at 1-0 up.
Well, Newcastle looking to end a 6-year drought. 10 matches in a row they've lost against Sydney FC. Can they keep the scoreline at 1-0 in the second half? We'll find out very, very soon. We'll catch you for the second 45 right after this. Welcome back to Leichhardt Oval, round 13 of the Liberty A-League, and it is Newcastle leading Sydney FC by 1-0. You can see it's time to shine Courtney Vine. She certainly has in the first half, Kath. Unfortunate, to be fair, not to have a goal. She's hit the post twice.
It sure is. It's very unfortunate for Courtney Vine. You can see that Sydney FC, when they do play through the middle, that they're looking to get the ball out wide to Courtney, and she does get herself one-on-one, but you've got to give credit to Claudia Chico. She's been fantastic in this first half.
And it'll be interesting to see whether they do change anything around Sydney FC in that department, because by comparison, Newcastle, they've had limited chances, but Serena Bolden, she didn't miss when the opportunity presented.
And that's what happens in games. You've got to take your moments and take your chances. And this is a fantastic ball in by Allen. And the finish by Serena Bolden is absolutely world class. Again, it's not easy to do what she's just done in that instance. And look at the emotion on her face. That celebration just shows what it means to Serena Bolden and what a great season she's having by coming to the Newcastle Jets.
And this is the involvement of the two number 11s this afternoon. And you can see Courtney Vine shading in the shots, but the important stat is down the bottom, isn't it, Kath? It
sure is, and it just goes to show by these stats that both these players are looking to get on the ball, and they're so dominant for both their teams, and both their teams look to find both these players and these total shots. But the difference is today is that Serena Bolden has taken her chances and Courtney Vine hasn't.
Well, Serena Bolden, she's right up there in the Golden Boot race. 7 goals for the season. It's been an incredible campaign for her, for Newcastle. But they'll need more of the same in the second half. And we're underway here at Leichhardt Oval. The second 45 minutes on a steamy Sunday night in Sydney. Sydney FC, they haven't lost back-to-back matches in the same season since 2020. And that's the kind of statistic that Newcastle run up against in this second half. And the quality of players like Courtney Vine. They've got so many talented, creative players, Kath. They just need to find some way to get themselves on the score sheet.
They sure do, and it hasn't been an easy ride for them in these last couple of weeks. They have played multiple games and midweek games, and when you are lacking the depth in your squad and you are suffering with so many injuries, it means that you have to get a lot of minutes out of your key players. And there's players in here that have played back-to-back for multiple weeks now, which it does start to take its toll.
And is there a tougher month? Maybe February could be tougher, but I don't know if there's a tougher month than January to be playing these back-to-back matches. One of the hottest months of the year. And they have had 2 games a week trying to catch up, which they are now, so they've got that all sorted. And now they can deal with the run home to the finals. Hawkesby. From light into shade, it will be a little tricky this for Newcastle. It's Tumeth again getting up. She almost scored at the back end of the first half, and she very nearly made it 1-1 at the start of the second.
You can see these balls by Mackenzie Hawkesby. She's looking to target that back post, and there's been a couple of times there that Tori Tumeth hasn't been able to get that proper connection with the ball, but they are hitting their target in Tori Tumeth.
Bolden with the flick on. She's going to win it back, Copus Brown. Good touch there from the Jets midfielder, but then Melina Ayres gave it up. Newcastle putting enough pressure on, though, to earn a throw here. Wilson, she's taken off about 5 metres there. Smart if the referee doesn't spot it.
Sure, he's very cheeky from Wilson there, but you got to take it.
Melina Ayres on top of the box finds Bolden. Decided against shooting, tried to lay it off. Oh, there's a collision. And this is a concern here, because it's Tash Pryor, and we know her history with concussion, and you just hope that she's okay, because it was a sickening collision with Princess Abini, and
that's a massive collision there with Tash Pryor and Princess Abini. And again, given Tash's history, and we know that she has suffered with multiple concussions, it's very sad to see her on the ground in this situation.
Well, from first glance, it didn't look like there was head contact on the shoulder. That's what it looked initially. Looked as though it may have just been shoulder-to-shoulder contact. You just hope she's all right, because that's why she initially walked away from playing in this competition, came back as an injury replacement with Sydney FC over the last couple of seasons, and then decided, as I mentioned in the first half, watching the World Cup, she wanted to be back playing in this Liberty A-League. Now here it is. Looked as though she'd brace for impact. Right in the back, it looked.
You could hear the collision. It obviously doesn't look like a head clash there, but she doesn't look like she's in great spirits, but it's great to see her back up on her feet, and could be a bit of a knee or an ankle here.
Yeah, they're just doing the test with her. So just looking at Newcastle, who they do have on the bench, they've got Karapetes, Hammond, Gooch, Hobe, and Karapetes starting in the back line last week, so that would probably be the change. But Tash Pryor walking from the field, and you can understand that she would be somewhat in shock in those kind of collisions after what she's gone through previously. So she just needs a bit of time to make sure everything's okay. She looks like she's good to continue, and she'll be back out on the field very, very soon. Wilson. And Pryor still off the field, so Newcastle down to 10 here momentarily, and without their centre-back, so Cass Davis has slotted in there. This has come off the back of Chico. Now Bauman, desperate. Pryor back on the field now for Newcastle, so they're restored to 11. Holman. And off Bolden for what will be another corner for Sydney FC.
You can just see Serena Bolden's work ethic, making her way all the way back into that defensive line to be able to get a touch on that ball, and it's unfortunate that she gives it. You can just see here in the replay, she's done so well to get back and block that pass into the box, and Newcastle Jets have got to defend here.
Hawkesby deep. Nino got enough on the punch away, but it's going to come back through McLean with some interest. And Allen has set up Newcastle's only goal of this game. Caspers, neat little touch, wasn't it, from Maddie Caspers, and then a beanie. It was heavy out to Hawkesby, and Copus Brown has smashed that one into the front row. There was the handball she had against Holman a little earlier. You saw Libby Copus Brown spotted it, not the referee. Bauman diving in. Lauren Allen to the sideline. Copus Brown. Still Newcastle under some pressure here from Sydney FC at the start of this second half, just as they were at the conclusion of that first half. Barbieri. And Tumeth. It's coming back in sky blue with Holman. DeSantos. DeSantos' delivery to Vine. She's hit the post for a third time. Can she go a fourth here? She crosses to the back post, and there is the 16-year-old Maddie Caspers. Fresh off signing a contract until 2026. She scores her first goal in the Liberty A-League, and what a star she is.
What a great little touch here by Dos Santos. Great ball to the back post there, and the way Courtney Vine has just hit that first time, again, she's going to be having nightmares about that post. But Maddie Caspers, what a great finish, right place at the right time, and what a fantastic achievement by the youngster.
She has been outstanding coming back into this side. So Dos Santos with the cross, the 16-year-old, to Courtney Vine, the Matildas star, to the 16-year-old Caspers. And Sydney, remember, this is the youngest average side across the league this season. They're back 1-1. And Kath, the talent we've got on show, the teenagers across both sides here, it's just a joy to watch.
It sure is. It's been absolutely delightful to see so many youngsters be able to pick up many minutes across this league, and to see them absolutely starring. You would think that they've been in this league for a long time, and it's just so great to see players like Dos Santos, the two sisters playing together, and also Maddie Caspers, a player that's been talked about for a long time, to see her get her start and also get her first of, I'm sure, of many goals in this Liberty A-League.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You don't want to put too much pressure on players 16 years of age, because we know in a career a lot of things have to go your way, luck with injuries and opportunities that you're given. But let's be honest, just watching the likes of Caspers, Dos Santos, it's just so exciting to see what they're capable of now, and certainly getting to watch their careers unfold in front of our very eyes is going to be just fascinating. Here is the feeling in this match. It's simmering at the moment. Tumeth and Bauman. Tumeth unhappy with Caitlin Williams' decision.
Loving these two going at it all game, and you know Tumeth, if you've ever played against her or been on the sideline or watched her, you can see how fired up she is, and she really gets stuck in, and Bauman there as well, just giving it back a little bit.
It's an absolute cracker. It is a ripping contest, this one, in the Liberty A-League in warm conditions. Vine with the delivery. Nino, that's a good take. Under some pressure, it was coming late from Hawkesby.
That's a great take by Nino. The way she's dominated her box in this game, she's been fantastic.
Okay, I was just having a look at Courtney Vine, steely look in her eyes. I think she was thinking, well, I've hit the post 3 times. Can someone just put it in the net? And Maddie Caspers was there at the back post. She's done everything but score, Courtney Vine, this afternoon. And she's grabbed an assist.
You can see here Maddie Caspers just gets Courtney Vine in, and again she's looking to put that dangerous ball into the box. She's put it in that dangerous area, but again Nino's done fantastic to be able to collect that and pick that up for the Newcastle Jets.
Look at this. Look at this. Players desperate for the throw. You could see 3 and 4 players from each side, hands in the air. Just shows you how much this match is on a knife's edge. And here's Ante Uric saying, hang on, take the throw back a couple of metres.
Well, we know that Josie Wilson got a couple of metres earlier on in her throw-in, and Ante doesn't miss those things from the sideline, so he'll be definitely piping up to the referee, but hopefully not too much like he did a couple of weeks ago.
It's just wonderful to see a Newcastle-Sydney contest. You see possession very, very even. It's been a while since we've had a Newcastle versus Sydney clash where both sides have been battling it out in the top 6, because we know Newcastle have struggled in recent years, wooden spoons. They finished in the bottom 3 every year since that 17-18 finals appearance. And we know that in that season there were some real good ding-dong battles. Newcastle with a win, a draw. Sydney with that finals win we touched on in the first half. And here we go back in season 16. We had that tight match in Newcastle earlier in the season. Courtney Vine with the late winner. And this one's shaping up again here nicely as Courtney Vine. She's got Hawkesby in the middle. Hawkesby couldn't catch up with it, and it's put over the byline. Corner on the way for Sydney, but they are coming to get Newcastle. Remember, the last time they scored multiple goals in a game was back in round 6.
I love that Courtney Vine is recognising that she's got Chico that's there, keeping up with pace, and the way she's put that ball in behind to try and get Mackenzie Hawkesby onto it. She's starting to be able to change up the way she sees her game. Normally she'll try to take them on 1v1.
Hawkesby's corners have been so dangerous. Nino spills it. The clearance from Bolden. Well, it cannoned off Tumeth. And now Caspers back into the box. Allen gets it away. But at the moment, Newcastle, as we saw at the start of this match, Kat, they just cannot get it out of their own defensive third. Fenton. And Holman, how about that for a pass? Thompson, the centre back. Straight at Nino, American v American, and Thompson has to get back. She is sprinting back. Bolden tries to squeeze it out to Allen. It does get there eventually. Allen looks out to Bauman. Bauman is felled. Newcastle probably asking for the advantage, but the referee's blown it up.
You'd be wanting the advantage there in that situation. You could see that Newcastle Jets have been able to break quickly in that situation, and they were outnumbered in there, and they could have made something from that, but it wasn't to be. And Charlotte McLean here knows that she's committed as she stepped out of her line here. She's had to make that tackle there against Bauman.
McLean along with Wyman, two Sydney players that have played every minute this season. And you can understand why they've got the best defence in this competition. Newcastle have got to try and crack it if they want the 3 points. It's Barbieri whose corner helped Newcastle in front last week. This time it's a set piece. It's Bauman. Lorena Bauman down again. Referee says free kick, and this is even closer for Newcastle. It's been such a physical contest, hasn't it, Kath?
It sure has. You can see both teams are looking to win their 50-50 battles, and you know it's been like this from the beginning, from the start of the game. You can see here Bauman just absolutely winds it up to try and get a strike on goal, and Tori Tumeth just puts her body on the line, and then you can see here Holman and Dos Santos looking to get stuck in, and
it's just fantastic, isn't it? You're absolutely loving this, Kath. This is just brilliant action. The desperation for the 3 points on a steamy Sunday night. It is so hot here at Leichhardt Oval. And this will be the last kick before the drinks break. Can Barbieri send Newcastle ahead at the drinks break 2-1? Big moment for Mindy. Barbieri off the crossbar. So close for Newcastle. Sydney unable to get it away for the moment, but Bolden's touch too heavy, and much to the relief of everyone, we can have a breath. Newcastle may not be too happy about it, because for the first time in that little period they had a bit of momentum, but they'll get a chance here to reset. Sydney FC grabbed the equaliser during that period of time, and this match is shaping up for a classic final half-hour, Kath. This was the equaliser.
It sure is. You can see both teams are still in it. You can see the desperation here by Courtney Vine. She gets the first instance where she gets to have a strike on goal, and then Maddie Caspers is there at the back post to be able to put that ball away. And I'm sure there would be a sigh of relief from the Sydney FC players to at least get back into this game. And I think it's going to be a really, really exciting one to be able to see the end of this, because both teams are raring to go. And in this heat at the moment at Leichhardt Oval, it wouldn't be easy to be able to keep up the actual stamina of these players, to be able to keep going, to be able to be pushing to their limits. But you've got to give it to these players on both teams. They're absolutely giving it their all.
Well, I'm still getting temperatures at Leichhardt Oval, and saying feels like low 30s, but temperature up above that, around 35. So it is so hot, and the players are just absolutely going for it. And you can be forgiven in these kind of temperatures for maybe not giving it 100% because of the temperature and the game being a little bit slow, but this match has been far from that.
You've got to love that on your TV screens. Courtney Vine just getting her arm around Maddie Caspers there, and it's so great to have someone like Courtney Vine back in this Liberty A-League to be able to mentor and give back to the next generation of future Matildas that are coming through this competition. It's just great to see.
Yeah, there's just so much to like. Caspers, the 16-year-old, with her first goal in this competition. DeSantos with a big part to play in the goal as well. Courtney Vine has played her part in this contest as well. And for Newcastle, you probably can't look past the likes of Bolden, of course, but Chico, the teenager, at the back as well. Davis stabs it forward. DeSantos falls for Barbieri. Allen back towards the middle. And Thompson finding DeSantos. But this is where Newcastle have had their moments in the game with the press. But Sydney have been able to escape. Maybe not. Maybe not. Sophie Hoban getting readied here. Who will it be? It's going to be Melina Ayres. And you can understand that. First start since October. She's played over an hour, and maybe a little bit of a rejig here for Newcastle, potentially, Kath. Is this a decision from Ryan Campbell, thinking we've struggled to get it out of our own half, throw on an extra midfielder and play Bolden in the middle and just see how things pan out?
Yeah, absolutely. He's probably knowing that Melina Ayres probably doesn't have too much more left in her, and there's no point in risking her. We know now we have this extended season, which is fantastic, and it just goes to show how close this competition is. And I think looking at this Newcastle Jets team, and Campbell will be looking at this thinking 1 point away from home to Sydney is great, but what can we do to sort of lock up this game now?
Nino and Hoban with a good first involvement. They've got a body in a good position. Now she's trying to really scrap for possession and gives away the free kick. Knows these parts of the world well. Played for Arpia Leichhardt in the NPL last season. First season in the Liberty A-League now. You've been really impressed by her so far this campaign, Kath. And Sydney will come back here for a free kick for the challenge on Fenton.
Yeah, it's great to see someone like the likes of Sophie Hoban that's been in the NPL space for a very, very long time and doing really well. We'll just touch on this free kick here for Kirsty Fenton, and it's a bit of a touch and go here for Sydney FC, and Mackenzie Hawkesby will step up, and we can see here that Sydney FC is throwing numbers forward.
Well, Fenton getting herself involved here. We know she's been thrown up front at times this season. She'll be looking to make a run here, but Bolden, got a little bit awkward for the striker there. Just telling the referee her arms were by her side. Bauman goes down again. Is this a card moment? Yes, it is. She's won a lot of fouls this afternoon, Lorena Bauman.
She tries to get a little touch around her there, Bauman, but Charlotte McLean just comes out of that line there and just takes her down, probably knowing that if Bauman does get that touch around her, she is away, and you do have Charlotte McLean out of her line.
So McLean into the book for that yellow card, and that leaves one of Sydney's centre backs on a caution, so something for her to think about for the remainder of this game. But to be fair to Sydney's backline, they haven't been put under a whole lot of pressure outside of the goal for Bolden, really. They've had their moments, Newcastle, but they've been few and far between. Mindy Barbieri, of course, that free kick that thumped into the crossbar just before the drinks break as well. Courtney Vine with that weaving run. Important intervention from Barbieri, but just knocked it a little far in front of her. And now Allen. Fenton. Lovely pass, slid in front. of DeSantos. And she has Caspers sidling up alongside. Caspers links with Hawkesby. No one in the middle, though. Abini was just resting on her heels there at the top of the box.
She has been a little bit quiet here, Abini, today. You could hear Ante just before telling her to get up higher.
And DeSantos delivers Vine, even with her pace. Couldn't catch up with it. And just confirming there, Sophie Hoban on for Melina Reyes. So a midfielder on for a striker. And going back to the way they were playing last week, Newcastle, that's how they set up with Hoban in midfield. And it was Serena Bolden playing up top. Bauman finding space out wide. She has Bolden in the middle. She has a number of players in the middle, including Hoban and Allen. But it just drifts a little long into the arms of Wyman.
You can see here what a great ball in, and it's into that dangerous area. Just fortunate enough there that Jada Wyman picks that up nicely.
Pryor had the pressure coming from Abini. Bauman. And Bolden, who's dropping back, as she likes to do. Copus Brown took time to find that pass. Bauman links with Hoban. Sophie Hoban saw the run of Allen. Newcastle having a better spell of this game now after it was really all Sydney for the start of this second half.
That was a great little passage of play for the Newcastle Jets there, the way they've kept possession of the ball. Bauman had done fantastic in the way she's beaten Tori Trumuth and be able to get forward. It's just going to be difficult now to be able to see Serena Bolden. She's trying to come deep to pick up the ball. She does try to get herself back up front, but she needs to reserve that energy.
Hoban has had some good touches since coming on. Couldn't link with her teammate. And the crowd rises because Princess Abini for a moment looked to be away. The long pass out towards Vine, but Chico has not lost sight of Courtney Vine so far this afternoon. Hoban again drifting into space. Sophie Hoban. Now Lauren Allen on the angle, and it was Thompson coming in, diving in with a crunching tackle. It will be a corner for Newcastle.
Sophie Hoban's done really well since she's come on. We know that she's a natural striker or a winger, so to see her be able to play in this position and adapt, the way she picks up that ball and gets it into Allen there, it's unlucky that she couldn't get more on it, but let's see what Newcastle Jets can do with this corner.
Look at that corner statistic. It has been heavily dominated by Newcastle, by Sydney I should say, as Copus Brown looks to go for goal. I'm pretty sure the first goal in this competition actually did come against Sydney FC about 5 years ago, but she couldn't find a spectacular strike as she did on that occasion. And now Lara Gooch is going to come into the game. Lauren Allen, she's done a wonderful job today, an assist for Bolden's goal. So the 18-year-old current young Matilda Gooch on Wilson also leaves Leichhardt Oval. And Karapides, who started last week, the 18-year-old, the Mariners junior, has come up through the Jets Academy. Another current young Matilda fighting for a spot in Leah Blaney's side for the Asian Cup in March to qualify for the Under-20 World Cup. So she's come onto the field for Newcastle. Some fresh legs for them.
It's a great headache for Leah Blaney to see all these youngsters being able to get great minutes in this league, and it's great to see that it's competitive for these positions as well. It only breeds better footballers, and the more competition that we have and the more that these players are playing, it's only going to help us on the international stage.
And what about Maddie Caspers, 16 years of age? I think Leah and Ray will be they'll be both desperate to get her in their sides. Junior Matildas, young Matildas, there's so much ahead of her. Cass Davis looking to use her strength there and couldn't do so. Vine versus Chico. Vine trying to get on the outside of Chico, but she will not let her pass. And it will be a corner.
Claudia Chico has been outstanding today against Courtney Vine. We know that Courtney Vine has speed to burn in this situation, but the way Claudia Chico is defending her, keeping her composure and just waiting for Courtney Vine to be able to take that touch, she's been absolutely outstanding today.
I do like the fact as well, Courtney Vine never looks like she's getting frustrated either. You see some players would be immensely frustrated. Just takes it all in a stride. Really impressive is Hawkesby, and taken by Nino.
Another great take there by Nino. She's been doing really well defending those crosses, and just the confidence.
Oh, chance here for Gooch. The ball just spills into the path here of Lara Gooch. She goes on maybe a little too long in the end and didn't find Bolden, and now Newcastle, they pushed 4 into the front third. Fortunately though, the pass couldn't find Vine. Front foot is the cry from Ante Juric. Final 15 minutes here of this match. Copus Brown, Hoban. Good touch from Thompson. And the strike well up and over. And we're going to have our final drinks break here. A chance just to set. Barbieri has a little chuckle, thinking about that strike on goal. Well, she's had a strike right before the drinks break the last 2 occasions. The first hit the crossbar, that one not her best. And let's have a look at the best bits of the last 15 minutes before we head into the final throws of this one. And Courtney Vine, oh, she has been so close to scoring on a number of occasions, Kath. She's hit the post 3 times. This is the first.
Yeah, she has. We know that she's been getting in good positions to be able to receive that ball and get herself 1v1 with Chico. And we know that the post hasn't been her friend today, but she's getting into good positions. She's getting herself in behind to be able to get these opportunities, to be able to get shots on target, which has been great. She hasn't been missing the target. It's just that post that's been giving her grief all game, and she's done well here. She's picked out Maddie Caspers at the back post for this goal, but Courtney Vine's been fantastic for Sydney FC today, and to be coming back from injury and this heat and all the factors, all the games that they've been playing across these last couple of weeks, it does take a toll on their bodies.
And we just saw in that package, the only real hint of frustration was that first chance. What impressed me the most is, as we see the Cove in full voice here, credit to them on a hot day for coming out in numbers, and they have not stopped the entire match. It's been a wonderful atmosphere here at Leichhardt Oval. And I was just going to mention, regarding Vine, how many players would you see hit the post for a 3rd time and then just put their hands to their head and not chase? And instead she chases that ball, puts the cross in, there's the equaliser. It just shows you why she's at the level she is.
Absolutely, and we know that Courtney Vine is an absolute workhorse. She works so hard for her team, and over and over again you see her getting up and down that wing and creating chances, and she's got such a fantastic work ethic.
And she'll be hoping she can help Sydney here to a massive 3 points after that heartbreaking defeat on Wednesday night against the Central Coast Mariners, who were down to 10 players at the back end of that one. And had Ash Irwin in goals as well. wasn't a regular backup goalkeeper. They had one of their defenders in there to Central Coast. Don't forget Mariners Wanderers coming up at 8:45. That one's been pushed back due to the men's match getting pushed back due to the heat this afternoon. And here's a real scrap for possession. Karapetes up against Kirsty Fenton. The home fans, they're celebrating like it's a goal for Sydney.
I'm absolutely loving this battle between these two teams. You can see here Lara Gucci comes off the bench. She's firing hot, and Sophie Hoban and all the youngsters there getting amongst it and really getting stuck in and showing what it actually means to them.
Nabini in a foot race with Pryor, and Tash Pryor drives it up the line. Gooch in a little tussle with Fenton. Abini put under pressure by Karapetes. Hoban looks up, has got pressure coming though. Maddie Casper's coming from behind. Davis earns a side of throw here. So these final 15 minutes, Sydney, they've conceded the fewest goals in this period in the competition. You can understand why. They have the best defence in this league. Possession just the same as it was at half-time. And Kirsty Fenton letting the assistant know that she's not best pleased with that decision. Karapetes to Bolden, and that should be a goal kick. Just to finish off that stat, Kat, so Sydney fewest goals conceded in the final 15, just one. Newcastle have conceded the most. They've conceded 7 during this period. So fitness really put to the test in sweltering conditions.
It sure does, and we know that Sydney FC has been fantastic defensively, and they've had obviously issues getting in that front third and scoring goals, but clean sheets do help, and Jada Wyman and Charlotte McLean especially have been two key parts of not missing any minutes this season.
Hoban and Bauman returns it to Sophie Hoban, and it's McLean with the clearance out to Vine. Another throw on the way for Newcastle. DeSantos making some space. Look at the time and space in the middle. It's Hawkesby once again. Mackenzie Hawkesby can't squeeze it under Nino. The flag comes up anyway. Gee whiz. That was a near miss for Newcastle.
Very lucky here that Dos Santos doesn't play that ball first time in behind for Mackenzie Hawkesby. It's just unfortunate that she hasn't been able to time her run in that situation to be able to get something on at goal.
So the live ladder as it stands right now, Sydney would sit 4th on 20 points. Newcastle 7th on 18 points. But it is so tight in the Liberty A-League around that top 6. Congestion is real. And Hoban linking with Bolden, returns it to Bolden. Has the overlap of Bauman, doesn't use it, uses Davis, and Cass Davis, we've seen her score a spectacular goal already this season. She couldn't produce it on a second occasion here.
It could have been a bit of a return the favour, that little back heel in for Cass Davis there. And
Maddie Caspers, what a performance. 16 years of age. First goal in the Liberty A-League. Zara Kruger replaces her, and she's only 17. The experienced campaigner, the 17-year-old Zara Kruger. And you can see here, you're just touching on that, Kath. Remember last week, if you missed it, you probably didn't. If you love this competition, no doubt you would have missed that clash in Unite round. But it was Cass Davis with the back heel on that occasion to set up Bolden's opening goal. Nino, straight up the guts. And Copus Brown dinking it to Bolden. She has Gooch on the outside, Serena Bolden, but it's Kirsty Fenton, the former Jet, who nicks it back for Sydney FC. And the free kick goes the way of the home side. Karapedes. Well, it's a real ruck, this. Davis and Karapedes, they still couldn't win it for Newcastle. And Dos Santos couldn't do so either for Sydney. Thompson arrives on the scene. Vine had Chico right alongside her, like glue, as she's been today. Dos Santos. And Hawkesby searching for an opening, Sydney. You just wonder whether the script is written, Kath, maybe for the two 16-year-olds. This is Dos Santos involved here with Karapedes. Look at this, 4 players getting in there.
You've got to love that. You've got to love the heart and soul of those youngsters getting stuck in. I always say that's something that you can't coach. You've got to have that winning mentality and that desire to want to put your body on the line and want to win those balls.
And it's the good thing, isn't it, for both of these two coaches, that they look at their sides and go, well, that bit is ticked off for both of their sides this season. And as you said, that is one of the hardest aspects of the game. Bringing that intent, that energy week in, week out. Sydney FC's next task is a trip to Melbourne to face the Victory on Friday. Short turnaround, especially after a warm day here. Holman looking to find Davis. Newcastle, they face the Mariners in the derby at home. Some big clashes coming up for these two sides. Gooch searching for Bolden. Abini nods it back inside. Davis almost had it for Newcastle. And here goes Sydney. Courtney Vine. Just for a moment, you thought she may be able to win the race for the ball, but then you remembered that Claudio Chico is just alongside her and going to make it very difficult for her to get anywhere near the ball. Davis desperate to get on the ball. Fenton is going to win the free kick, and Davis into the book, the Newcastle captain, for being a little late on her old teammate. Fenton will shake that one off. Here it is. Clearly got up. Thompson. Karapedes, it angles back to Abini. Kruger making a run in the middle now. But Abini opts for Hawkesby. And now Dos Santos. Abini. Hawkesby in a pocket of space. And somehow Bauman has poked it wide. It looked like it was going to be an own goal for all money, or Courtney Vine was going to sneak in and score the winner.
What great combination play. A little one-touch football to be able to get Mackenzie Hawkesby in behind, and a great little dangerous ball across the face. But what an absolutely great tackle. She comes from behind to be able to slide through, to be able to deny Courtney Vine.
Hawkesby It's deep. Nino, good take. Looking to release here. Lara Gooch. She's going to need some assistance here. And Kruger came across and wins it back for Sydney. Sydney are coming here for Newcastle late on. Vine sees Zabini. The pass just behind Princess. And Cass Davis. It's back for Tumeth. And everyone can take a breath for a moment.
This is very intense, these last 5-10 minutes, but you've got to give it to both teams. They're absolutely going for it. Both teams are looking to find that winner and to be able to pick up the 3 points today. And it's just a credit to both teams, especially in these conditions, to be able to continue to push through these 90 minutes. It's not an easy task.
Well, do not go anywhere, because we're going to have a fair chunk of stoppage time with the drinks breaks during this half, as Gooch takes on Fenton, goes for goal herself, has got a couple this season. Lara Gooch, that was blocked off by Fenton there. And now Karapetes with the throw. The strength on show from Hoban. Copus Brown angling the pass, looking for Hoban, and it was Thompson. Had to be there. And now Pryor goes to ground. Is it a free kick? Yes, it is. She certainly played for it, did Tash Pryor.
She sure did. She's just showing her experience in that situation. A little bit of frustration here by Prinny. She's just got her shoulder up and pushed Tash there, and Tash is just smart enough to be able to drop down to the ground when it's needed. And again, a great opportunity here for the Newcastle Jets to be able to push numbers forward and be able to get something out of these last few minutes of this game.
Isabella Mawson, you can see watching proceedings. She'll have to get the board out in a second. Launched in long. Sydney able to deal with it initially, but Copus Brown, as the ball spilled out, prods it over the top. It is running away from Bauman. And we've got 6 minutes of additional time, so more than enough time for either of these two sides to find a winner. Sydney still have not scored multiple goals in a game since round 6. And remember, that's a long, long time ago, because they had all those catch-up games. There's now Courtney Vine taking on Karapetes. And we're going to have a free kick here for Newcastle. So that's 8 matches now for Sydney since they scored 2 in a game in that defeat, that 3-2 defeat to Melbourne City. Janaya Dos Santos replaces Indiana Dos Santos. It's sister for sister here. Janaya scored that match winner against Wellington in that 1-0 win back in round 10. Ante Juric said he just had a feeling that she was going to do something. Could she do something similar here? Bolden. And Chico, that time put under pressure by Vine. Chico goes down. Referee says play on. Vine's delivery just behind Dos Santos. Kruger and Fenton, well, they both seem to leave it, and Newcastle able to claim a throw.
You can see here the battle between Claudia Chico and Courtney Vine continues, and Courtney Vine just gets a little bit of the better of her in that situation and just can't get her cross on target there.
So a draw here for Newcastle would end the 10-match winning run Newcastle have suffered at the hands of Sydney. But it would extend the winless run for the Jets against the Sky Blues to 12 matches. Unless there's something special here from Bolden, who goes to ground, grabs a knee here. The referee not going to the pocket at the moment. Caitlin Williams, she's just going to get the spray out. You're thinking it has to be a yellow card here, Kath?
Definitely has to be a yellow card in that situation, and Serena Bolden's done fantastic to be able to bring that ball down, and where she is in the part of the pitch, I think it has to be a yellow card for Shea Holman in that instance.
Barbieri hit the crossbar earlier in the match. This one a little further out for Mindy. Delivery towards Bolden. Who did it come off? Referee says a Newcastle Jet, and that means a goal kick for Wyman. Definitely Bauman there, as she tried to crane her neck and get that strike on goal. You can hear Ryan Campbell. I think he's lost his voice on the bench for Newcastle. He's certainly hoarse. The Jets coach in his first game in charge. Thompson, cut out by Karapeti. So time of the essence now for both of these two sides. Fenton gets plenty of height on the throw. And now Gooch crunched in there by Fenton. Hawkesby clips it up. Davis cuts it out. Pryor can't get to the scraps. Dos Santos. Desperate from Newcastle. Hoban looks up, links with Gooch, who returns it to Hoban, who just left it behind. Dangerous pass. And Sydney have got some space here through Dos Santos. Kruger on the inside, but she's given it up. Couldn't find her teammate. And the free kick is given, and Cass Davis is certainly frustrated that Caitlin Williams didn't play advantage.
She sure would be there in that instant. You can see here, Cass Davis is away here.
Fenton, shoulder to shoulder with Bolden. Is there a final chance here for Sydney? Fenton, over the top. Kruger chasing. Kruger has won it for Sydney FC. Zara Kruger, what a time to score your first goal in the Liberty A-League. And Sydney, with the last kick of the game, have claimed all 3 points. Utter dejection for Newcastle, who gave it everything. And Sydney, they're about to make it 11 straight wins against the Jets.
You could see that Sydney FC was looking to play these balls in behind, and it was unfortunate that Nino was just caught in two minds there when she was coming out, and Kruger there has done fantastic to put that ball in the back of the net. The way she's allowed that ball to bounce and to get that strike on target, she's done fantastic in that instance to be able to have her first goal of the season.
Newcastle. Well, it's going to be heartbreak for the visitors, but Sydney, well, they've scored multiple goals in a match for the first time in 8 games. And they make it 11 straight wins against the Jets to consolidate a spot in the top 6. And Zara Kruger, she made the move from Brisbane to Sydney in the off-season. And she's now scored her first goal in the Liberty A-League. The current young Matilda. Leah Blaney's just put a star against her name. We'll keep an eye out for her come later in the year. Sydney fans celebrating full-time at Leichhardt Oval. Sydney FC 2, Newcastle Jets 1. And Kath Canuli, we just witnessed a classic in the Liberty A-League. And it started with Serena Bolden putting Newcastle in front.
We sure did. There was a great passage of play here for the Newcastle Jets. A great cross here from Allen, and what a fantastic finish for Serena Bolden to be able to put the Newcastle Jets in front in the first half.
On Sydney, they just punished the Newcastle goal time and time and time again. And then finally, if you hit the post enough times, the goal will eventually go in. And it was Maddie Caspers, the 16-year-old, who scored to make it 1-1. And just Courtney Vine never giving up on the play.
She sure didn't. The whole game, she was getting into great positions. It just wasn't falling for her today. And here we can see Christy Fenton with the ball in behind for Zara Kruger. She's taken this touch so well, and the way she's put this ball in the back of the net, you could see when that final whistle blew what it actually meant to Sydney FC. But what a fantastic finish by Kruger.
Yeah, so the 16-year-old equalised, the 17-year-old won it for Sydney, and the Newcastle product with the assist to win the game for the Sky Blues, Kath. That hurts Newcastle, doesn't it?
It sure does, and I'm sure the Newcastle Jets players will be absolute heartbroken, but they've all got to keep their head up high, and they've got to be proud of this performance and how they came out against a quality side in Sydney FC, and they will be disappointed, but with the extended season this year, you've got to be able to dust yourself off and get back up for next weekend.
Well, let's have a look at the stats. And you'd be hard-pressed to say Sydney, they didn't deserve the 3 points, because they really created chance after chance on the Newcastle goal, and it took until the final kick, but they got themselves in front.
They sure did. They worked really hard. You could see to every player on the pitch when that final whistle blew that they just took their chances here. It was good to see the possession stats did end up evening themselves out, but the total shots on target for Sydney FC in the end ended up, 17 total shots and 9 on target. In the end, it was tough and not easy, but Sydney FC picked up the 3 points.
Yeah, a very important win for Sydney FC, and the fact that they found a goal when it mattered. So, dejection for Newcastle. Serena Bolden with goals in 4 straight matches, but it wasn't enough for Newcastle. Kath Canuli, thanks so much for your company. That was, well, that was easy today, wasn't it? It's easy calling games like that. An absolute cracker.
It sure was. It's fantastic to see the Liberty A-League in action and all these people out at Leichhardt Oval supporting the league.
Yeah, credit to everyone for coming out on such a hot day. Up above 30 degrees. It was Sydney FC's day. It was the day of the teenagers. Kruger and Caspers win it for Sydney FC. That's the news from Leichhardt Oval. Thanks for your company. We'll catch you soon. Don't forget Western Sydney and the Mariners coming up at 8:45. Don't miss it on 10 Play and Paramount Plus.